And here we have the video review for Kamen Rider S.I.C. Decade. He is the volume 51 from the Super Imaginative Chigoken line. Same line as the Kiva review I have. Stands around 8 inches tall, and the whole point of the line is to take figures in more of a weird, take the Kamen Riders in more of a weird, bizarre, or hyper-detailed angle. Here he is compared with the original S.H. Figuarts Decade, and as you can see, he's got quite a bit of girth and size on the little guy. They actually went for more of a pink than this magenta, which is sort of interesting. But anyway, enough with him. On to Decade. They did some awesome detail here with this translucent pink. You can see some machine workings and everything underneath, which we'll see better later. They also gave it up here on his shoulders, but they're just translucent pink. They don't have any detail underneath, just his regular shoulder. Another thing that's interesting is the head. It's such a expressive, I don't know if you can see it on here, but they gave it such a detail on it. I was really impressed. Definitely pretty interesting. As for accessories, he comes with Kivala from the show, from the Decade show, his K-Touch, so he can go into his complete form, and then parts for complete form, as well as 2 pairs of fists, 2 pairs of holding things hands, one he's already got on, 2 pairs of calmly resting their hands, and 2 pairs of splayed out I'm doing my final attack hands, as well as 1 hand which is posed sort of uniquely, and that is to hold his cards. Now, Decade was a card-based rider, which for those of you that are watching this that don't know, he used cards to transform, but he didn't use cards to transform into different forms of Decade. He used cards to transform into different riders from the past series. Now, one thing that's very cool is he comes with his ride booker, which is what stored all his cards in the shell. And a super neat feature about it is it opens up and can actually hold on to a little plastic card with a sticker on it. I don't know if you can see it, probably not, but he can actually hold it in this tiny little hand, looking like he's about to change or do something with it. Now, one of the other awesome features about it is in the show his belt would pop open and he'd put the cards in there. Well, they actually managed to work it into the toy with the same feature. Now, what's really neat is they've even got detailing there on it, but the best part is you can actually take the little card and it goes in to the belt, and then you can close it and he can do his attack. Now, with his holding things hand, I noticed with this one, it was a real pain in the butt to get his weapon in there. And with this other hand here, it seems to be more made to kind of, the hands really hold it tight, which is a good thing, because I know with some of the other releases, it was a little loose. Like with Emperor Kiva's sword. Now the hands, slight peg, just when you want to swap out the hands, it's easier than I'm making it, because I'm an idiot. You just pop it right in there. And then he can have his ride booker be a gun and blast fools. One of the other things it can do, as you saw in the other Decade, is you can actually transform. And you can take this piece, the blade, and attach it on there, which I thought was neat. So instead of having 2 or 3 different ride bookers lying around, one's a gun, one's a sword, they actually made one that's fully functional, opens up, can store a card, not more than one, and can turn into the sword. I'm really impressed with this figure's posability. He can, for being sort of bulky looking, you can actually get pretty good posability and stability. If I'm going to make him look like an idiot, which I'm going to do right here. But his Legs can get a full double jointed knee. He has full ankle movement. His elbow is fully double jointed elbow. He has a wrist turn and swivel. He's got an ab joint and a chest crunch, but it doesn't really work with the way his armor is sculpted. You can sort of turn it, but it's more there because to facilitate the transformation. And his head is on a double, you can see it, joint there. Now a lot of people had problems with this in the initial pictures because it looked like he was way too bulky. And I almost felt the same way until I saw him in pictures with the Kuga release. And with the Kuga Decade Edition, the pictures just made Decade look a lot better, so I ended up snagging him pretty recently, and I was really happy with him. He's not anywhere near as bulky in normal Decade form as people made him out to be, but he definitely has some weight and girth to him, so you don't feel like you're wasting your money, considering these figures go for around 50 to 60 bucks. Now, for the Chogokin part of Super Imaginative Chogokin, meaning metal, the base figure's diecast is only in his knees, which was sort of a disappointment. But that's not the only thing this figure does. Oh, one thing before I forget, and it's kind of out of thing, to get the card out, they give you this tiny, thin, easily losable piece of black plastic. And what you do is you can see that slit right there. You take the card and you just pop it out through the top, so it comes right out. Now the other thing is the Decade belt actually comes apart, and there's a reason for that. We'll get to that in almost pretty quick here. Just pops back on there, and then you just close it. I can't get over how cool that feature is on this toy. It was a main, if you watch the show, it was a main feature in the show, and it was so neat that they were able to incorporate it in the toy, because they didn't necessarily have to. But just the engineering that went into it is, in my opinion, pretty neat, and I'm gushing over something stupid. So anyway, Decade's complete form. He actually comes with all the parts for it, which is kind of a pain in the ass, because you more or less have to completely tear apart your Decade figure in order to give him his complete form, and he almost suffers a bit for it. One of my biggest complaints with having to switch him into complete form is not only do you have to completely and totally tear him apart, but one second. Can't get that fist in. There we go. But he actually has a little bit of problems for it. His head, super loose, which is nice when it comes to swapping the heads out, but if you're just going to leave them in one or the other, it can be kind of a pain in the ass. And same thing here. His legs pop right off, which they need to for the transformation, but sometimes, just trying to pose them on your shelf, do something cool with them, they come right off. So, we already have him started to do his transformation into complete form, so why not we finish it? Next thing you gotta do is you gotta pop off these pieces, which the first time I did it was a little harrowing because they were on there pretty good. And oh, one quick thing, you can really see the cybernetic detail underneath his pink armor here really well when you take it off, which I thought was just such a cool feature. But anyway, take off his thing, his belt, and then the other part you gotta do is rip apart his chest. So now we have Decade almost ready, more or less ready to be turned into complete form, and he is a tiny shell of a man. Here he is compared with regular. Kind of lost some height there, and he looks hilarious. Anyway, on to the transformation. So first thing I like to do is you take these black pieces and you snap them on there inside his thighs, which is fun. Now the cool part, these, I don't know if you can hear that, all metal. So he has a lot more Chogokin in him than one would initially assume once you get him going into complete form. And this does not want to. There we go. Then you take all new lower legs, which are actually the same as the old ones, just painted black and metal instead of pink and silver like they originally were. Then you take his K-Touch and you put it on. And I did it upside down. Did I? Kind of hard to tell. No. Put his K-Touch there. Gotta make sure his belt's open all the way and it sits. Then he comes with this neat little piece that clips on his belt here. You can see that. And that's where you put his original belt, front loader piece. Now the fun part. And this is what turns Decade from a bulkier rider into a freaking linebacker for a football team. This is... Now, he was a bulky design in the show, but man, it really just makes him huge. And then the final piece is his head. Now, as you can see, he's Decade complete form. Alright. Now, the one thing that's pretty cool about this is he's heavy. His whole lower... all of his legs are all encased in metal. So he definitely won't go down. The top heaviness of his chest doesn't really hurt him because of how heavy they made the legs. As he almost falls there and ruins what I was saying. But yeah, he's huge. He's got a huge profile. And compare him one more time with regular Decade. I don't have the figure art version of Decade complete form. Never wasn't huge on the design in the show, so I never felt the need to get it. Yeah, he really really blows the normal figure arts out of the water. He's a big beefy guy. Some of the changes were added the addition of all these cards, which you can't see with my crappy camera, and his chest and head. All those cards are individual pieces that can be removed if you wanted to use them with the regular Decade. And he comes with, and I didn't use them, a huge sticker sheet, which is where all the cards were on, and you put them on these little plastic blank cards, with a bunch of Emperor Kiva stickers, which I thought was weird until I realized he came out the same time as the S.I.C for Emperor Kiva did, and it was more or less a function of, since they were released at the same time, Bandai pretty much figured, well, we might as well just give him a bunch of cards, so if you want to have Emperor Kiva posed with him, you can have it done like they did in the show. Because in the show, whenever he would summon a final rider, or a rider's final form, all of the cards on his chest would change, in the one in his head, would change into cards of that rider's final form. So if it was Emperor Kiva, it would be Emperor Kiva cards. Now, the other thing that kind of puzzles me is they didn't do it for any of the subsequent releases after Decade. So Kabuto, who has his final form packaged with him, doesn't have cards for Decade, and neither did Kuga. It's just sort of what I think is a weird change, a weird decision that they didn't decide to go ahead with this gimmick, which is considering they've packaged Decade belts with both Kuga and Kabuto, so they can be Decade versions of those characters like he did in the show. But anyway, that's my review of him. Kind of dragged on for a while just because I had to go through two forms of the guy. He doesn't really lose any posability in his legs or elbows, but his shoulder posability is more limited, but not by much, surprisingly, because of how much these can open up. But they look sort of stupid when they're all open like that. A lot of people call him Fat Cade, and I can understand why, because really, I'm being redundant here, adds a lot of girth to the chest. But that's my review. Thanks for watching, and I hope it has helped you out in some way.